Right now, we are standing in Canton, Georgia. So this chicken coop behind me is a custom chicken coop that evolved from what we call our Craftsman chicken coop. And what that means is most of our coops, you'll notice like our Carolina coop, our American coop, the hen house is elevated. And what happened starting maybe about 3 years ago, we've had a handful of customers, especially one in particular, that said, Matt, I love your coops, but I want to be able to walk into the hen house. I want to be with my chickens. And I get that, and I definitely wanted to provide that to her. But I kept telling her, I said, you don't need to. There's many reasons you don't want to walk into your hen house, but I think we can figure out a good win-win. So what we did is we kept the elevated hen house, but surrounded the hen house with the shed storage area. And that's where the whole thing started. And just one of my favorite parts about the job with custom coops is they were like, where do we put it? How do we design it? They're sending us pictures of their home, and just the ideas explode from there. And that's how we came up with all the uniqueness of this chicken coop. It's very Gothic. There's a 12-12 pitch, certain windows, and that's what we did. And then along with his wife being an interior decorator, they had a lot of these beautiful shutters, the reclaimed cupola, that we were able to incorporate with the design that matched their property, all the way down to the paint color. You know, what's nice about our coops, they can really go anywhere, you know, with the solid metal roof over not just the hen house, but the run. So that opens up the canvas of where you can put the chicken coop. We're gonna get pegged. Right, so we're underneath this hickory tree, beautiful hickory tree, and these nuts, right, am I saying it right? These nuts that are in the shell still are hard. They're like little bullets falling, like raindrops from the canopy of the tree. And this whole time we've been out working, it took us about 2 weeks to complete this coop. Dodging these have been a lot of fun. Believe it or not, none of us got hit. I don't know how we didn't end up twisting an ankle, but it is what it is. Okay, so when the customer first contacted us, they definitely already knew what they wanted. That was the Craftsman style. And then there were lots of pictures, lots of measurements of things they actually already had in their possession, like these shutters, for example. They already had these. They said they knew they wanted them on the chicken coop. So we immediately said, okay, send us pictures of them and send us measurements, because even though this looks like a standard door, and it probably is close to a standard door, we made sure that if these were to be functional, which I'm adamant on, it's got to look like if they were to close, they would close perfectly and serve the purpose of what a shutter is supposed to serve for the height and the width. But they are just screwed, they're face screwed right in there, so they don't actually function, but just allows a beautiful look to bring in the old with the new. And up top, you'll see the corbels that are probably not authentically old, but they're distressed to look old. And it's just a nice detail to add up in that area where there's usually nothing. One of the things I want to point out, this is true board and batten siding. And when we go on the inside, you guys will get to see, I call it popping the hood. You'll be able to see the backside and see exactly what I mean. All right, so right now I think is a good time to take a walk inside the hen house and show you all the great features about what makes this coop awesome. All right, let's take a look at the inside of this beautiful hen house. And like I was saying earlier, what makes this coop so unique is we solved the problem of people, told you it's gonna sound like a gunshot when those nuts hit, and that wasn't too bad, that was over there. And what's nice about this is there's two sides to gain access to inside the hen house, but it's still elevated. And when you elevate it, that solves many problems, especially when it comes time to clean, which we'll show you when we get inside the run. But that creates this cavity underneath here. And this is where it was a great opportunity to build these giant drawers to have awesome storage. Right here is an example of this industrial hemp that we sell a bunch of. And rubber casters, so they're extremely easy to move, but you can tell by the sound how solid and stout they are. And you know, we have the same thing here on this drawer. And the other thing I want to point out that, you know, again, we're inside a chicken coop, but why not? Why not bring in, again, continue the true board and batten siding? And also, if you take a look over here, here's the back side or the inside of that board we were talking about, and that's that 1/4 inch gap for expansion and contraction. So it is solid wood, 3/4 inches thick. And again, we cover up that 1/4 inch gap on the outside with the batten, and we carried it through here. But again, it's already so big, we decided we can go ahead and add this loft. But with that loft, we actually went ahead and drilled holes, so as air comes in, you always want it to exchange. You always want it to keep moving. So as you open up the windows inside the hen house, it will, it will naturally warm up, but it's going to rise, and what you want it to do is escape. So we have holes that are screened off for it to continue to escape up above the loft, and then continue out underneath the ridge cap. And also in this case, you can see the functioning cupola way up there. This is, I want to say, either the 3rd or 4th coop that we've done that have tile in it. It's just a great way to add some of your personal taste, and it's just gorgeous. It's so unique. All right, so let's take a look at the inside of the hen house. And again, we're inside the shed area, and we have quick, easy access just by simply opening up this door. And then there's a barrel bolt up here, and we open it up right there. And again, just large doors. I would say that opening is about 4 foot tall and almost probably maybe 3.5 foot wide. I know a lot of people will ask that question, but either way, it gives you an option to have access to the hen house if need be, especially if it just happens to be that day you've got to do something in here and it's raining out. So that's one of the great features of if you got to work inside the hen house, you're not stuck outside. Now also, again, it's elevated. Nobody likes to work and bend over, you know what I mean? And the chickens always want to be elevated. And that's the thing, always remember, if you're chicken coop shopping, you're designing your own chicken coop, I always tell people, always think about what do chickens do in nature? What did they do before coops were invented? And so right here, you can see this is their bed. This is their roost bar. This is their tree branch where where chickens slept at night. And it just allows you to get easy access. Just like all our other coops, we stick to the same DNA, if you will, where it's the same roost bars. We do now offer our rope wrap roost bars, which are absolutely awesome, that mimics a tree branch. But if it comes time to clean, you can just pop it out just like that. We have high density polyethylene, what we call sockets that we cut on our CNC. Great way to burn up scrap material, but the roost bars are designed to sit right down in there perfectly like that. So the other thing is, again, I mentioned earlier we have a loft. So we put a solid ceiling over the top, which is not normal. But we did it because we added another feature, and it just made sense. Make the loft, but you always got to let the hot air escape. So we drilled these, I'm going to say 1.5 inch holes so that the air goes up and continues to go out through the ridge cap up top, but it's still, even though the inside of this hen house is completely predator proofed, you don't want to ever take any chances. We predator proofed even those holes. If an animal was to come in here and say you got these doors locked up, if we didn't screen that off, they will always find their way in. They're always very persistent, so we screened them off. And other than that, this is just like all our other hen houses. We got the deep litter system lined with the food safe high density polyethylene. You can see the beautiful backside all painted of the board and batten, all the Doug fir framing, and of course a large window over here for ventilation. And we'll talk more about that, but the other nice thing is the other side of the hen house has our traditional hen house doors, and those also open up to allow ventilation. Here's the thing also that people are amazed by. You would think designing a perfect chicken coop is easy. It's not. There is a domino effect that once you change one thing, it all has to change. And in this case, when we designed this, and this is maybe our 3rd or 4th time doing this because of the way the customer wanted the door, the egg hutch, the windows, the hen house doors had to go on the inside of the run. And normally we wouldn't do that because you want to clean on the outside. However, it doesn't matter. When you do go to clean out this hen house, this is actually ideal. If you think about it, your run area is your forest floor. And think about all the leaves, the nuts, the berries, the droppings, the monkeys and birds up in the trees, and they're defecating on the ground, creating beautiful soil. Well, when you go to clean out this hen house, and here we're using our industrial hemp, the best bedding in the world, you're just going to throw it right into the run. No more shoveling it. And this will go from an anaerobic to aerobic compost down inside the run area and continuing to give back to the soil in there and helping with the health of the chickens and also getting them something to do to scratch in there too. The other thing I wanted to point out too is you notice we have this beautiful looking piece of cardboard over here in this hen house. And that's because always remember, chickens are creatures of habit. Right now we have 6 young ladies, well, 5 young ladies, possibly 1 roux, living in here, and they're about 6 weeks old. You never want chickens to create bad habits. So that opening is being covered by this piece of cardboard, and that opening is the egg hutch. And if that wasn't covered, the chickens right now at their young age may want to start roosting in there, and we don't want them to do that. But always remember, chickens always want to go to the highest point. So that's why, again, when you're designing a chicken coop, you know, you would be amazed when you go to, okay, what size window do we put in? But you got to keep in mind, you got to have that board right there because you got to catch the roost bars. That has to be above this egg hutch. You got to have the egg hutch openings so big. So there's a domino effect. But that's what that cardboard is doing, is keeping them from going in there. And, you know, another question we get a lot is, well, when do I remove it? I would say once your chickens are showing you they've created excellent habits, and that is they're going up on the roost bars every night and sleeping and probably getting close to sexual maturity, which getting close, I would say, is 18 to 19 weeks, but they will start laying eggs 20, 21 weeks. So I would say a little bit time before then, remove that cardboard, get your nesting material in there, and the chickens will absolutely love it for laying their eggs. All right, so the next thing I cannot wait to show you guys that's brand new, something we've never done before, is we designed a large capacity hopper to hold the chicken feed. So what we did is we cut off, I would say maybe 2.5 feet of this hen house, where normally it would go all the way to this wall. Well, we slid it in, and what that did, again, domino effect, it's incredible, opened up this wall. So this was actually another afterthought to build that beautiful Gothic style window. It allowed us to get even bigger, have it all to scale, but we were able to open this up and, oh yeah, this is definitely, so you got, wish I had my tape measure on me, but this is about, I would say 2.5 feet by 5 foot deep. And I absolutely, and there's another thing I'm so proud of, our designer, Evan, I had nothing to do with this. I just said, figure something out. Gets a little mad at me when I say that to him, but he gets so creative, so smart, and built cabinet grade cabinetry, storage, and along with that, opened up a spot to have this hopper where you can dump, we want to say right now, we haven't done it yet, but put in about 150 pounds of chicken feed. And it reminds me of the old school laundry hampers, maybe that's what they're called, where you're up on the 2nd story and you just throw it right down this chute and goes down to the basement. I think it's one-handed. We got a piece of metal right here so that when the door lifts, hits that magnet right there and you're done. Now, one of the struggles that you may have is most chicken feed bags are going to be about 50 pounds. And you got to lift that up and either dump it into a can, or you're trying to dump it into maybe a 20-pound feeder, or you're using a scoop and then you got to move the bag again. Forget all that. So what we've done is we have this, it's about 12-inch deep because you got the cabinet underneath here. Okay, again, tons of storage. They could even add shelves in there. Anyways, so you got this little platform right here, like this counter space. You take the bag, you set it on here, and you just dump it. And we actually did it already, and we dumped 50 pounds. I want to say, we should put a clock to it. 1.5 seconds. I mean, that's incredible. So you set it up here, your effort's done. You just boop, dump it, and then all the feed went in here, and it's completely lined with the food-safe, high-density polyethylene. This wall closest to us on inside the hopper is slightly angled so that the feed, it's like a funnel, just keeps going down into the trough, which is on the inside, the opposite side of this wall, on the inside of the run, so that the chickens can have easy access to it. But look at these knobs. I mean, just gorgeous. The customer picked all these out. We put them in for her. Oh, I forgot about this. There is no better compliment. Well, I love when people thank us for our videos, inspiration that they would never build a coop if it wasn't for our videos. A customer asked us to sign it. Isn't that kind of cool? This is maybe the 3rd or 4th time this has happened. I never share that. I don't want to sound egotistical, but I just, to earn his trust, our business, enough to sign this beautiful. So that's what this is. And of course, Nan was here, got to be able to bring her. She signed it. And of course, she's always thinking of everyone else. I'm not. Team Carolina Coops. That's awesome. What I want to point out about this coop that is one of the most unique parts about it is this roof that you see on top of the hen house and on top of the run. Now, this is a company that makes custom roofing all out of recycled metal, so that's really cool. They're out of Montrose, Colorado, and we've used them 3 or 4 times before. And you know, we would drive from New York, and usually we do this out on the West Coast, so we'd pick it up on the way out to Colorado, go out to California, and install it. And what makes this one really unique from the other roofs that we used from them is it's one to mimic the style of standing seam, even though it's not true standing seam, but you have the ribs that are every 6 inches apart. And also, what was critical about this particular coop, because we had to match the rusting of the roof of the cupola, is this roof is what's called bearskin. It's actually designed to rust. And I know that might sound scary, but believe it or not, when metal rusts, that rust will actually help protect the metal. So it's going to continue to rust. It's already started. We just had a couple days of rain, and it's going to look amazing. The entire thing will turn rusty, and it'll actually protect it and last. I want to say they said 50 to 60 years, believe it or not, and again, it will match the roof of the cupola. All right, another great feature about this chicken coop that makes it very unique is our designer, Evan, wanted to make a custom window to continue to bring in this Gothic feel. And so what he did is he drew up in our drawing program for our CNC machine this outline of these peaks. You know, it makes a very Gothic style, looks a lot like what you'll see on churches. And then they glued up several boards to make one big giant board, and then laid it down on the CNC, and it just goes in and cuts everything out perfectly. And the other thing I want to mention though is it's still a fully functional window. It does come out, and behind it is the 1/2-inch hardware cloth, so it's completely predator proof. And you got that wonderful polycarbonate that's 400 times stronger than glass. All right, guys, so now is going to be one of my favorite parts of showing off this beautiful chicken coop, and that is inside the run, we actually already have 6 young chickens, I believe 5 hens and 1 soon-to-be rooster. We're going to walk inside and show you this beautiful run. Love this lockout cable. We've learned the hard way, locking yourself inside the run. So right here, you see this beautiful stainless steel cable, and all you have to do after you shut the door, you're done inside the run, it's time to leave, just pull that cable, door opens up, just like that. All right, so we're inside the run. There's a lot of great things I want to show you guys. First, please note, you know, this beautiful black PVC coated 1/2-inch hardware cloth. We use it on all our coops, and there's many reasons why we love this 1/2-inch hardware cloth. And the number one reason is it's so small that predators cannot reach in. It's not big enough for them to rip it open or bite it open. And also, it's not big enough for snakes that are big enough to eat your eggs to fit through here. But if a juvenile snake fits through here, no problem, free chicken food. And actually, I think we got a video of that recently of a chicken going, "This is my little snake, no one else is getting it." Maybe cue that right now. Also, because it's black, that does 2 things. The core wire is galvanized. It is exterior rated, but by adding this PVC coat, it technically is going to allow it to last forever. But my favorite part is with it black, it literally absorbs the light and becomes see-through, and you can definitely notice that when you're looking from the outside in. The water bar is a little bit higher for them because they're younger, so we just simply added these cinder blocks. And as they get older, just remove the cinder blocks, and the chickens will have no problem drinking from this water bar. You don't want to keep adjusting the water bar because you'd have to keep cutting holes in the screen, which is not fun, in order for the heated water system in this case to work. So it's always better, adjust with some blocks, maybe some pieces of wood, leave the water bar where it is. The other thing too, you know, speaking of the water bar, this is our heated system. This is all food safe PVC, 1.5-inch PVC. We have 4 of our horizontal spring-loaded nipples, the good ones, not the cheap Chinese ones. I got videos out there, maybe bring that up right now. I can't stand the cheap Chinese ones, and a lot of it is because the spring on the inside that allows the function of the nipple to not leak is way too stiff. This is a stainless steel spring, so easy to push on it. So even when you got young girls, they have no problem drinking from it. Also, I mean, they don't leak. Show me a horizontal nipple that doesn't leak. You won't find it. If you do, then okay, send it to me, great. But I love these vertical ones. I love that it holds a little water on the bill here. If you have ducks, we've even had ducks use these. So also, being that it's a heated water system, you'll notice this black contraption right here. This is the pump that comes on only when it gets cold, pumps the water through, circulates back to the rain barrel, which I'll show you guys here in a little bit. Also, you may notice, depends on how good your eye is, this is pitched up a little bit. Our level was not broken, I promise you. You actually want to make sure you don't have an air dam or air get trapped in here, or the pump will not prime, it will not push the water, the system will fail. So the easiest way is just pitch it up a little bit, no big deal, you know. And then it's just attached with the pipe straps right here. Okay, still inside the run, we are on what I call the front hen house wall. And you can see something very different, not very common, but it works perfectly. We have our standard hen house doors along with our standard deep litter door. And the reason why I want to emphasize standard is because yes, we are in this big, beautiful custom chicken coop, but it just goes to prove how perfect the function of these doors are. They work even on our high-end luxury custom chicken coops. So how they work is you have, in this case, you have 3 gate latches. This gate latch right here, you open this up and opens up this door. And you have a barrel bolt up top here, open up this door. And what I love about that, we've been doing this for years, is it gives you full access to the hen house. And the reason for that is when it comes time to clean, you're not gonna wanna struggle. It doesn't get any easier than it does with our system. So if it was time to clean, and you've incorporated the deep litter system inside the hen house, and it's just time to clean it, normally you would come up to the back of your hen house, outside the run, drop down your deep litter door, pulling sweeping motion, no bending over, put in your wheelbarrow, then take it off to another compost bin or wherever, depending on the time of year. Well, in this situation, going back to that domino effect, when you're designing chicken coops, you change one thing, it snowballs. So what happened here is it made sense to put the hen house doors on the inside of the run. And again, I want to say this is like the 4th time we've done this. And what's actually nice about it, one, it still looks good, but the function is amazing. And I'm gonna do this, even though normally I wouldn't do it because the deep litter has already started, but not enough. I'll show you this deep litter door just drops down. Check out, again, that food safe, high density polyethylene. Way overkill, but boy, the stuff is nice. It's like having heated leather seats. It's not necessary, but they're nice to have, easy to clean. Anyways, and look at here. And when it does come time to clean, this would be completely full. You can't put any more in there. You're just gonna take it, pulling, sweeping motion. If you want to bring in a wheelbarrow and put in there and wheelbarrow it out, fine. Maybe you have a reason for that, but this doesn't get any easier. Just put it inside the run. Have it go from an anaerobic compost state to an aerobic compost state. It'll, the oxygen will now get to it. It'll help break it down in the final stages. So beneficial, again, for the microbes in the soil. The chickens will absolutely love it. And again, you're going to love it because you don't got to wheelbarrow it away. Another little story about this coop. We had major problems with the roof. The chickens ended up showing up. It was still cold at night. They were doing something that I do like. They started using their hen house as their brooder. So there is no transition period from the bathtub, from the tote in your garage or basement. They already know this is home. So they put a heat plate in here to help keep them warm. And chickens have already learned that this is home, and that's the reason for that. All right. Oh, that's the other thing I want to show. Do I have a dowel? I wanted to, their dowels are inside in storage, but again, very standard, but just wanted to show it. Can never have enough ventilation. We're just gonna put a dowel up here. There is 2, but you get the idea. Open that up, get tons of ventilation in there. And then when you wanna close it, pull the dowel, just let it shut. You don't need carabiners on these gate latches because one, it's protected by the 1/2-inch hardware cloth, but also even more important, you're inside this run, which is also protected. Okay, another great little detail that makes this coop a little bit different, and we can do this with any of our coops, and we've even thought about maybe making it standard, not sure yet. Let me know what you guys think. One of the dirtiest parts of your chicken coop is gonna be the ladder, and that's okay. But we do have some customers that want to be able to rotate these out so they can clean them. And just like everything else, we want to make it as easy as possible. So what we've done is we've just taken our standard ladder, and at the end, we've put shepherd's hooks You can see that it just looks like a shepherd's hook, nothing crazy. And you just put it, you drill a hole and you go right into the end, and then you match that up with these eye bolts right here. Now, if you're doing this on your own and you want a little trick, put your shepherd's hooks in first, okay? And then you can just do what I call metal marks. You just come up where you want it and just rub a little bit on that paint and you'll get a perfect mark. That's exactly what we did in this case. And we put our eye bolts there. And when you go to put it back in, you just simply hook it onto the eye bolts. And it's just that simple. Now, also, while we're over here, I'm going to remove this ladder just to make room for me. I want to show you guys the other part. I want to show you guys the other part of the feeder. Now, quick disclaimer, what in the world's going on over here? Again, 6 hens, 6 baby hens. They're really, really little. So the trough that they're going to feed out of is actually on the other side of these cinder blocks. And we put these cinder blocks in here to act as steps so they can get to it. Now, the other thing that happened is when you're ever designing a feeder or buying a feeder to hang, ideal is to have it just below chest height. And because of the construction and the floor joists and things like that, and then going on to an 1.5-inch sill plate, then the concrete footer, then bringing soil in, it ended up a little bit higher than what we wanted. So for right now, again, we got the cinder blocks here, and what I'm going to do, this is just scratch that the baby chickens have gotten up here, and when they get older, they will not make this big of a mess. But again, chickens are chickens. They're going to go in there. They're going to have a good old time. They're going to scratch. We can put it right on the ground right there. They'll love that. I'm going to move these cinder blocks. I want to show you guys how beautiful this is. Yeah, let's, there, and we'll have fun eating that later. We're just going to move these so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And what I told my customer is from the top of the trough here, that's about 12 inches, and that's going to be a little too tall. Even though your larger breeds can definitely eat out of it, I think to make up this, 2 inches here plus another 1.5 inches, so that's about 5.5 inches low, they can put in some wooden stumps. They can do whatever, maybe a nice little flagstone. But either way, here is the trough. That is the other side of that hopper I was showing you guys earlier. We handmade this all out of galvanized steel, so it will last a lifetime. It's all folded over, nice and smooth. And it's just screwed in there, really simple. And again, when that feeder gets dumped inside the hopper, just through gravity, it comes right in and fills this up perfectly and just makes it so easy for you when it comes to feeding the chickens. Even if you got a lot of chickens, that's a lot of feed that can be held in there. Or if you only have 6 chickens, like in this case, that's fine. Yeah, it might sit there a little bit longer than normal. It's not going to go moldy as long as it's not getting wet. But also, even if it produces what we call SPI or stored product insect, where you might have Indian meal moths or weevils or whatever, it's extra protein. It's good for the chickens. Now, one thing we did realize after the fact, and I know my YouTube chicken police out there, you're going to say it, and you're right. Well, Matt, you just mentioned rain. Yeah, if the food gets wet. So there is a potential for sideways rain to come in. Will not hurt the run at all. Again, it might be beneficial, but we don't want it to get into the feed. So what we're going to do is actually use one of our polycarbonate run covers and maybe go halfway up or maybe go the whole way and just screw that on here. It will not hurt the chickens at all when it comes to being outside, and it will stop the rain from coming in here. Maybe when we do this again, we'll try to move it towards the middle, but we did think about this as we're designing it, and there's just no good spot for it other than right here. So we knew that was going to be an easy solution. So again, that's the other side of the hopper with the galvanized trough. All right, guys, now we're on the other side of the run. We're back outside, and what I want to show you right now is in this particular heated water system. Now, we have a lot of videos, a lot of pictures out there talking about how the heated water system works. I won't bore you with that, but a couple key things I wanted to point out, things to think about. Again, this roof is going to rust, and normally we would catch the water off the roof into a gutter, into a downspout, into the rain barrel. Now, I'm the first to say I am not a water expert. I'm learning a lot. We got a lot of new stuff coming out about water, but I wasn't a fan of catching water coming off of a roof meant to rust. It is perfectly fine on a regular metal roof. It's actually recommended to only use a metal roof if you're capturing rainwater, not, for example, shingles, asphalt shingles. So that's why there's no gutter here, no downspout. That's why you may see right now this hose bib right here. The customer's gonna use this to fill it up or end up putting an auto top off with hopefully a major pressure reducer. Maybe we'll get a shot of that. Anyways, so, but there is still a screen top up here. You know, this is where, you know, we drop down the heater. Again, take my word for it. Here's the heater, self-regulating, 1,000-watt heater, good to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you got the screen right here to keep bugs and leaves out. We are gonna get runoff here. So one of the things that we didn't think about until afterwards is we are gonna have to have something to cover the rain barrel to prevent the water from going in there. Even if a little did, I don't think it's gonna hurt them, but again, I know how, especially my YouTube chicken police, I gotta make everyone happy. Some of you even freaked out about drinking rainwater. Check out what's in your city water. Anyways, and then the other thing I wanted to mention, I thought, again, this is pretty cool. This is the beauty of Carolina Coops. Numbers don't lie. A lot of things could go wrong taking information from New York down to Georgia when it comes time to pour a pad, and you got one chance to do it. Well, this made me a little nervous, and it worked out perfect. We had to make sure, the customer was adamant, he wanted to make sure part of the pour was this concrete pad for the rain barrel. And he goes, Matt, where will it be? And I was like, uh-oh. I'm a little nervous because when you're setting up our heated water system, especially for our chicken coops, this rain barrel needs to be right in the middle between our two vertical columns, because that's just how it works. When you got your return hose in this case, and you got your feed hose over here, you got to be right in the middle. And they nailed it, or we nailed it. Great team effort. The pad is poured perfectly. So I just want to show that off. And then also here, again, we didn't do the electric, but love what they did here. We got all seal tight connections, flexible conduit. And notice right here, you have the transformer. This is what will take the AC to DC to the pump, but the pump is not self-regulating like the heater is. So you got to have something to tell the pump to come on when it's close to freezing. That's what this is. We love it. You can buy these on our website. You can go to Amazon. You can find them in all kinds of stores. They're just great. Well built and easy to use. So you just plug it in, then you plug your transformer in, and if I remember correctly, when it gets close to 35 degrees Fahrenheit, it will turn the pump on. The heater's already working. It'll circulate the water. The system works perfectly. And then it turns off, I think, at 43 degrees Fahrenheit. So again, so nice. Set and forget it, easy system. Round in the corner over here, we have one of the best parts of every chicken coop, and that is the egg hutch. This is where you're gonna come to gather your eggs. And there's a lot to egg hutches, more than you would ever think. But in this particular situation, again, we matched the roof, which I think is critical. It wouldn't look right if we didn't match the roof. So you can see it's beginning to rust. It's meant to rust, has the standing seam look. And then we have this custom made flashing to make it watertight. But other than that, everything else is going to be, oh, and then it is 12-12 pitch. Please note that. That added some wonderful challenges. Carabiner, a must. Gate latch right here. Drop down your deep litter door. But after that, this is all standard. So easy to get access, to get your eggs. And one of the things we love about the drop-down door is anyone can get to them. And if your girls are in there laying eggs, you're not going to startle them. And I know a lot of people are brand new. Oh, I'll never go in there and get eggs when one's in there. Yeah, life's not always perfect. There's gonna be days, or if you got someone watching your coop, you're not gonna wanna startle your girls. And what happens when you startle the girls is from egg hutches where the roof lifts up. It's not good, creates a leak point. Also, because of all the great points of how our hen house is elevated, the egg hutch has to be elevated. So now if the roof is up here, because the egg hutch has to be up here, usually only a very tall person can get access to the eggs. We want everyone. We want the children. This is the first spot they come running to. They absolutely love it. Or we've even done chicken coops for people that are in wheelchairs. So I love this drop-down door. I think it's an absolute must. And then also going back to what we were talking about earlier, we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is a 4 gang, and 4 times 6, 24. There's that number. It just works out perfect. Now, the other thing about our egg hutch is also, even though this is a custom coop, the inside's all this beautiful food-safe, high-density polyethylene, all cut on our CNC machine. If you're ever gonna add more chickens to your flock, the best way to do it is the way nature intended, and that is let one of your hens raise them. When she goes broody, you can give her fertile eggs, or if timing's right, give her some fake eggs, and After 21 days, remove those eggs. Maybe leave a couple so she still sits on, thinks a couple more are gonna hatch. Take your day-old baby chicks, incoming. Take your day-old baby chicks, put them underneath her at night. She thinks they hatch. She will do everything. She'll make sure they eat. She'll make sure they drink. She'll also protect them. She'll make sure they stay clean. And by removing this divider, you just made lots of room in there for her to do that. But the best part is, as they grow up, there's no fighting. They become part of the pecking order. All right, another thing I wanted to make sure we talk about is something that I actually like a lot, you know, and that in this case is night vision or your exterior illumination at night or landscape lighting. So right here is a great example of a transformer that is plugged in right now, just a basic 110 outlet, all right, so 110 AC, feeding a transformer, and what that does is it drops it down to a DC low voltage, so it's extremely safe. So that's all fine and good. Here's the problem we have ran into, and even here, we didn't do this particular system, but they did a great job. But what you have to remember is this is not a home we live in. We actually have living creatures, and animals need to know when it's dark out, and especially chickens. So what happened here is they got this wonderful, again, by night vision, this exterior landscaping, and we got these big old lights that it ended up being so bright, it's not allowing the chickens to know it's nighttime to go into their hen house. So they did tell me that they don't like it, not only for that reason, but it might be too much lighting, so they are gonna change it out. And then another thing I wanted to mention, and again, we've learned ourselves on accident, let's say you have my favorite, the chicken guard, the automatic door. I love the photo cell, so it goes up and down. You don't have to change the timer or anything like that. One time we had a door that would never shut. We couldn't figure out why. And it ended up being because we had some landscape lighting up in the soffit above the door that came on based on a photo cell. So as that sun's going down, the lights come on, the door wants to shut, but it's got the light from the landscape lighting, so it doesn't know the sun went down. And it was just that simple. So those are just some more things to definitely think about when you're doing your landscape lighting for your chicken coop. It's a great idea. I think it looks good, but don't overdo it. Less is more, and remember, they are chickens. They need to sleep at night, and don't be scared to try different things too, I guess. You know, there's an art into putting in these lights, and just keep it less is more, dimly lit, and I think you guys will be in good shape. Oh, hold on, one more thing before we forget, you YouTube chicken police out there. You know, you can get away with, and this was the case, they went down 12 to 18 inches with the concrete footer all the way around. And that will prevent animals from digging underneath. But my customer said, nope, Matt, that's not enough. They absolutely wanted the Predator apron. So if you're one of those people like, oh, they're gonna dig underneath. They're gonna try. They're gonna try like hell. We're not just using pea gravel or this little tiny river rock to stop it. You got the concrete footer, you got the Predator apron. And the reason, you know, now that I'm mentioning the stone, is he wasn't a huge fan of putting a gutter on his coop. And one of the things about gutters is it prevents the erosion around the foundation, especially if you're up north, from freezing and thawing. But when the rain, the water comes off the roof and hits the ground, if it hits the soil, in this case the clay, you get that nasty splashback. Well, so what he did is he just had this border put in to hold all this beautiful stone, so it prevents the splashback and it keeps it nice and dry. Because always remember, water is going to take the path of least resistance, so it goes right through the rocks and continues on downhill. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you really appreciate it. If you're thinking about building your own coop, I really hope you took some great information from this. If you're thinking about buying a coop, I don't care if it's the Cali Coop American or especially my personal favorite, these beautiful custom chicken coops, please check us out at carolinacoops.com, but more importantly, feel free to call us. We love a phone call 7 days a week. We're always there for you. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. We love to hear from what you got, from anything you guys have to say in additional. And also, one of the other things I want to make sure you guys can take away from this video is I find a lot of people are so surprised the level we can take things. Everything is possible. Nothing's impossible. Even though it's just a chicken coop, we set the bar so high, and I want to keep it up there. So I want to hear from other people. If you're thinking about getting a custom chicken coop, you may think you're crazy. You're not. this big, beautiful coop's in the front yard. I think it's awesome. There's no better compliment than that. But there's nothing we can't do. And that reminds me, the other thing I get asked a lot is we can go anywhere on this planet. There's nowhere we can't go to deliver one of these beautiful custom chicken coops. Thanks for watching.